I have a young nephew who's always been a console gamer so far, but he's taken an interest in esports, and I wanted to make sure that he has some sort of a good setup for PC gaming. I don't live close to them, and it has to be something I'm going to ship across the country, so I didn't want to do a custom build with a glass case or anything like this, so let me show you what we got put together so far. Okay, so here is the setup. I recently got myself a new monitor and peripherals, and I'm going to send him my previous one, so he's a lucky nephew. He's getting the 1440p 240Hz LG OLED monitor, which for esports and, almost any type of gaming, it's a pretty amazing screen. And then for the peripherals, this is an AJazz K870T keyboard and some sort of Logitech, I think, Lightspeed wireless mouse and an Xbox controller. He's mostly been a console gamer, so I thought having the controller would help ease the transition a little bit. The speakers I got a deal on Facebook Marketplace. These are the Bose, I think, Companion Series 3 or something. I used to have some of these several years back for my own computer, and they do a really good job for their size. And for $40, it's pretty hard to beat for speakers. There's also this Turtle Beach headset that I'm gonna send, and the main guts of the system here is a HP Victus desktop that I got a killer deal on Facebook. And then when I picked it up, it has the 5600G. It had a M2 SSD, but only 256 gigabytes. It had 32 gigs of RAM and an RTX 3060. So that's the bones of a pretty good system for entry-level gaming or esports or whatever you want to do. However, you know me, I had to do some upgrades. And so the first thing I did was I cloned that 256 SSD to a 2 terabyte one that I had lying around, and I swapped that back in, so it's still the same, HP Windows or whatever, but now it's got 2 terabytes instead of 256, so that's a huge upgrade. Another thing I did was the person I bought it from had upgraded it to 32 gigs of RAM themselves, and they put in a Corsair kit of DDR4 3200. However, this HP Victus does not have XMP or anything like that in the BIOS, so the 32 gigs of RAM was running at 2133, and on Ryzen 5000, as you may know, that memory speed makes a really big difference in performance, and it was kind of disappointing. I felt like even the Windows desktop experience was a little laggy and slow feeling, and so I can use that overclockable XMP RAM in a future project, and I ended up having to get a kit that runs at a more JDEC 3200 speed, it runs at 3200 without XMP. Not every RAM kit is going to be like that, and I had to look it up on the QVL list and everything, but I'll show you what it is here. But dropped that in, now it's running 32 gigs at 3200 megahertz, and that made a huge difference in performance, CPU performance, the responsiveness of the system, gaming, everything. So I highly recommend, if you're doing a Zen 4 system, get memory that runs at least 3200 megahertz. And now this did come with an RTX 3060, which is a pretty decent graphics card for esports or entry-level gaming. It comes with 12 gigs of VRAM. It's the most popular card on the Steam hardware survey. But, I'm sending him a 1440p monitor, and I wanted it to have just a little bit more horsepower. So I got a used deal on a 3060 Ti. The 3060 Ti performs a lot closer to the 3070, and the only real big concession you have is that you're losing some VRAM compared to the 3060. Both of these cards, though, I feel like are not very well suited to running games on ultra settings at high resolutions where it's really going to eat up more than 8 gigs of VRAM. And so I think most of the time you're going to get a better gaming experience on the 8 gig 3060 Ti versus the 12 gig 3060, so I went ahead and swapped those out. This does only have a 500 watt power supply, and I was kind of worried because the 3060 Ti does draw more power than the 3060. However, that stock 3060 pulled about 140 watts, and the 3060 Ti, even though it's rated at up to 200 watts, I did some undervolting, and as you can see now, it pulls closer to about 130, 140 watts, which is what that stock 3060 did, and it gave a noticeable bump in GPU performance. I'll show the before and after GPU upgrade time spy scores, but the 3060 Ti is noticeably stronger in gaming performance than the vanilla 3060. Overall though, this is a pretty sweet entry-level setup for doing esports or even some, AAA gaming at 1080p or 1440p with some DLSS or something like that. And hopefully it gets the job done and he can win some matches and get into some esports and whatnot, but I just thought this was kind of interesting. Messing around with the used stuff is always fun, and I thought you might find it entertaining, so hope you liked the video. Like it if you did, subscribe if you want to see some more videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.